Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. What was something your family did that you didn't realize wasn't normal until you did it in front of others? My mom is a yawn yeller. When she yawns, you can hear it from anywhere in the house. One time my sister had a friend over, and we were in the basement. My mom yawned upstairs, and my sister's friend asked, "Was that a coyote?" My mom yells when she sneezes. In order for her to stop sneezing, she has to basically sneeze really loud, kinda like achoo. One time my brother had a friend over and he thought something was going on outside. It was my mom sneezing in her room. My dad sneezes super loud as well. I once lost him in a large bookstore, heard a loud achoo, and then I found him again. Use of Hinduted German words in casual conversation, which as a child I behindumed were English until I got confused stares from friends. My family has been in the US since 1902. Check for me. I didn't know the English word for belly button for years. What's the Czech word? The Czech word is puppy. Sleep after the meal during holiday get-togethers. Just the men. The women exchanged gifts. We would all go into the living room and watch football and kinda doze. No big deal. Did this once at my girlfriend's family Christmas and evidently I embarrassed her or maybe offended someone. Either way, I was the only one asleep while everyone else was energetic and conversing lively with family. I was woken up by girlfriend with an angry tone asking why I was asleep during the party. I was comfortable, relaxed, and we just had a lot of food. Made sense to me. Damn, that definitely seems like something that would be perfectly normal in some families and rude in others. It was so natural to me that I was confused for a bit why she was upset. Like, this is what you do, eat and then nap. We always did this on Thanksgiving. We would finish eating and then about 10 minutes later everyone would be asleep. It was always so satisfying to wake up on a full stomach. My dad jizzed on my siblings and I a lot. He was born in Iran, so he had a little bit of a language gap even as an adult. And what he would do to mess with my siblings and I is he would use his finger and thumb to punch the tiniest amount of skin on our wrists, and he would call it jizz, because I think that's what he thought the sound of that was if you could get close enough to hear it. So the scene occurred plenty of times where my brother, sister, and I would be running away from him in the house, pleading not to get jizzed on. Years later, someone explained to me that the noise Iranians think bees make is jizz, so therefore, my dad was buzzing us, not jizzing. Thankfully. Your story is fantastic. That first line I audibly gasped. Language mix-ups definitely can be awkward. When I lived in Japan I started from zero with language ability. Early on I learned that shinkai plus n is used colloquially as a verb for microwaving, chin representing the sound of a microwave chime. One evening when hosting some Japanese people I had met, I went over to microwave something and in a sing-song voice said chin chin. They turned to me mortified. I stood there confused, until one brave soul informed me I had just said a slang word for N. And that's the story of how I learned a new slang word. Can confirm. English teacher in Japan. Japanese elementary school boys love this joke. They ring a bell over and over and say chin chin. Chin chin. I just got it. It's basically the equivalent of ding dong, right? In English that can be both a bell sound and a slang for peen. My mom and I have had this inside joke where we go don't talk to me or don't even look at me in response to stupid shit. I don't remember how or when it started, but I've been doing it since I was a wee kid. I didn't realize how odd it was until I said fine, don't talk to me then in response to my mom telling me I couldn't get a video game I asked for and a woman in the aisle with us got offended. She pulled my mom aside and told her I don't need to be talking to her like that and she needs to teach me how to respect her male. My mom explained that it's a joke that we do but she doesn't think the woman believed her. My husband and I joke like this too. My friends get really uncomfortable when I roll my eyes and say I don't even like you. I want a divorce and he says good. You smell like wet garbage and flea market. LOL, I love this. My girlfriend will say she is going out for a pack of smokes and whole milk. She is a vegan who has asthma. This is her joking equivalent of I am leaving you. That's pretty cute. Apparently it's not normal for your parents to openly and graphically discuss their sex life with you. And it's definitely not normal for your parents to have multiple partners younger than you. Edit. Since so many are asking, my parents didn't start this behavior until I was an adult. When I say the partners are younger, I mean they're sleeping with college kids while I'm in my mid to late 20s. Oof, that's awkward. Depending on time frame, even criminal. Son, you jumping in this orgy or what? Your mother is getting antsy. Saying damn it after sneezing. That was an interesting day in first grade. We say shut up. Can be awkward with new people. Tends to get laughs though. We say something similar after a third sneeze. Bless you. Bless you. Are you done already? Combination here lol. Bless you. Bless you. Shut the yuck up. Everyone in the family, extended family included, likes each other and gets along. One boyfriend commented that my family was weird because everyone got along. No massive fights, screaming and yelling each holiday, bringing up decade-old grudges once or twice a year. Like he has never met his uncle because his dad and uncle hate each other too much. TBH, this is weirder to me than the guy whose dad jizzes on him. r/not context. This is context if anyone needs it. That my mother would scream and yell every single night in her sleep. I legit thought it was a normal thing. My mom has nightmares. Doesn't yours? Edit. Given the comments here, maybe a larger conversation needs to be had about why people have nightmares. Holy shit. I dated a girl that had those and it not only creeped me out but she would start clawing and punching. I've kicked a partner and left bruises on his shins. I felt so bad when I saw them. My mom has screamed at night during nightmares for the past 55 years. When she's not screaming, she's cursing people in her dreams. The most vile, horrible, nasty, cursing. Sailors, carpenters, and longshoremen everywhere would cringe in horror at what comes out of her mouth in the middle of the night. Smoking indoors. I didn't do it, but my GF at the time had a veritable panic attack when we had my mother over for dinner. It was the first and only time my mother came to visit. I was born mid-70s, so I remember smoking in malls, planes, hospitals, etc. Both my parents were non-smokers, which made them unique enough. But still, every time someone came over, they'd pull out these giant ashtrays for their guests. Such a different time. Would you be shocked to hear? I went to junior school in the 1970s. I can vividly remember at least 2 teachers who smoked in class. Ashtrays on their desks. No ucks given by anybody. I graduated HS in the 90s. Our school had a smoke pit, which was a large area between 2 buildings where it was 100% okay for students to smoke between classes. It didn't matter that we couldn't legally buy cigarettes. If we had them, we were allowed to smoke them. It seems far more common for parents to be very overtly cautious, controlling of their kids' activities. Not that my parents let us have free reign, but they trusted my brothers and I to walk around the neighborhood, usually in big groups. Bedtimes weren't really enforced after like age 10, and never on weekends. Ironically, later I was pretty often the safe friend to the more cautious parents. Because I turned out real boring. I was probably a bit of a special case because I've always had a touch of anxiety. But I think having my parents' trust kind of removed the rebellion of it. Edit. Well, apparently it's not as uncommon as I thought. Hello other boring free range kids. Also, I've been told the original expression is free reign, but I think both versions work, so reign stays. Same. I had no curfew once I was 12 or something, and I turn out boring as well. My friends' parents loved me because I was such a good kid. Same here as well. I remember getting my license and asking my parents if I even had a curfew. Before that, if I was with another kid in the neighborhood, it was be home before dark, and if I was out somewhere, they were usually the chauffeur parents. They decided I didn't have a curfew and to just text them and let them know my plans and when I'd be home, so they would know to leave the service door from the garage to the house unlocked, and if they were asleep when I got home, to text mom and let her know I was home, so if she woke up in the middle of the night she'd know without checking my room. The latest I ever stayed out was midnight or 1, and my friends who I'd hang out with, one had a curfew of 10, so we'd do whatever until 10, and then from 10 midnight we'd just chill in her basement, and then I'd drive everyone else home and go home. I'm 23 now and still live at home. COVID has messed up my moving out plans, and it's pretty much the same now. Just let them know so mom leaves the service door unlocked and shoot mom a text if she's asleep when I get home so she knows I made it. I was definitely the boring friend all the parents trusted. I got my license first so I usually drove and everyone always got home safely and on time. I'm still the boring friend that doesn't stay out super late and makes sure everyone is home safe. Haha, I'm exactly the same. I had no curfew once I started secondary school age 11 and after 2 or 3 nights of staying out past 9 I soon realized it's boring and I ended up just going home at a normal time. I was also allowed to drink from the age of 14-15 and go clubbing and to pubs when I was 16. By the time I hit 18 I was pretty bored of it and never one for binge drinking or getting blackout drunk. The novelty had gone. Flush the toilet after peeing. We tried to save water, so we basically peed until someone took a dump. Then one day I went to a family friend's house and freaked everyone out because I didn't flush. Edit 1. Forgot to mention that we were a family of 5 with one working toilet, and my dad shits like 3 times a day. Edit 2. Our bathroom was on the 2nd floor and it had a window. This thing can work until your bathroom gets filled with pee smell. Not recommended. Edit. Thanks, guys. Now my top voted comment is about the stain of pee. Thank you. Flush the damn toilet. I'll take a higher water bill over the bathroom constantly smelling like piss. If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. Join our community Discord, link in description. My parents were hardcore penny pinchers when I was growing up. Even though they both had decent jobs, our water usage, among other things, was controlled and timed, which led to me washing dishes in a certain way that minimized the number of times I opened the faucet. Over the years, my parents' tedious money saving methods began to fade, but a few things didn't. Our dishwashing method being one of them. One night, a friend of mine invited me over and I stayed for dinner. I offered to help with the dishes. It only took a few dishes before my friend was like, "What are you doing? Why are you washing in dirty water?" He then proceeded to turn the faucet wide open. I felt so damn wasteful at that moment. It felt like I was watching dollar bills go down the drain. I was expecting his parents to go off any minute for being so wasteful, but nothing happened. They probably thought I was weird for reusing the dirty water. This method of washing dishes was normal for them yet felt so taboo to me. I was 13 years at the time. I want to know the difference between how you and your friend washed dishes. The way I did them growing up. We filled a dishpan with soap and really warm water. All the dirty dishes went in there. We'd scrub them with a sponge and move them to the other side of the sink once they were nothing more than soapy. Then we'd rinse them all off in running water. If the suds disappeared in the dishpan, we'd dump out the water and refill it. A 3-compartment sink in a professional kitchen would wash with soapy water in one compartment, rinse with clean water in a second compartment, and sanitize with sanitizing water in the third compartment. I've used water with some bleach added, so washing in a tub of water and then rinsing under running water at home doesn't seem bad. Now, I'm only washing a few things at a time, just feeding myself, and I rinse under warm water, scrub with a wet soapy sponge, then rinse under warm water again. If I were washing dishes for an entire family, though, that would waste a ton of water. 3 out of 4 members of my immediate family have the same condition where we grow benign tumors in our brain and spine. So conversations about brain surgery and muscle wastage and loss of function are common. I knew it wasn't normal, but we kinda keep forgetting how most healthy people react to a guy losing the ability to move my toes. It's annoying. Is there any cause you'll have been able to determine? That's very interesting. And kind of sad for everyone's toes. But at least there's some humor there. Oh yeah, we know what it is. A genetic condition that we've traced back to a particular side of the family. We can't stop the tumors from appearing, but we all go through monitoring and treatment when necessary, or possible. Well, thank goodness for that aspect of modern science and medicine. Thanks for sharing. My dad forces us to say I love you. I say I love you quite forcefully now, and I don't mean to. When people say they love me, and they aren't my family, I stutter and kinda go blank. I think, shit, what do I say? How do I say IT without IT being forced? I was so used to ending phone calls with my children and my BF with I love you that one day I called in a pizza. When I was finished placing the order, I told the guy I love you. He answered back and said, "Yep, okay." I felt so dumb. "I'm sorry, but I can't stop laughing at this. LOL, yeah, okay. I bet that yeah, okay horrified the guy more than your I love you." Oh, definitely casually telling my friends sexual conversations that my mom and I had. Turns out my mom was oversharing my whole life and I never knew it was weird. Edit. When I found out it was weird and talked to her about it, she said in a very sad voice, "But you're the one person who really understands me and who I can talk to about everything." She made it a solid year of trying before she slipped up and told me a story about how my stepdad fingered her in her sleep. Mine would try to guess who masturbated and openly called out my brother at the dinner table for being caught jerking off. Keep in mind I was 7. I'm disappointed that nobody has pointed out to you or you/Ashtronica too that these behaviors are abusive and instead joke about it. You don't talk to young children about your sexual escapades or humiliate them for masturbation in front of their siblings. That crosses the line of weird and funny. I hope you know that already. Reminds me of how my parents tried to explain to me they were swingers while trying to save their marriage. I was 15 at the time. I met all these new people. Knew why they were in my house. Everything. My mom made up words. I didn't know this until I was an adult. Out in the world saying fake words and having no idea. Wonkajawed means when you've been laying or sitting down and your pants need to be adjusted. Goo goo baby, small baby that still makes cooing sounds and probably still wears a diaper. Just the memorable one. There are so many. I used to call my dress shoes clippity clops. My GMA says stair steps instead of just stairs or steps. I used to say it as a kid but I outgrew it. I asked my friend's parents why there was only one mum. Thought everyone had two. Not the smartest of moves in the 80s. Or, that is the sweetest. I've actually had 4 mums so far. My mum, mum's sister who partly raised me, dad's ex-wife and dad's current wife. I was raised for the first 10 years of my life by my mum and aunt. So behind having only one birth parent was normal. I had friends who had 2 parents. But dads were like guests, ghosts in the house. Dads did nothing to my young eyes apart from eat and sleep. I grew up with the assumption that dads just weren't needed. Later had a shock when I discovered that some dads are lone parents and not all dads ignore their kids and don't contribute to the family. That's adorable. We had a bag in our deep freezer where we kept kitchen scraps until garbage night. It was pretty genius, but creeped some of my friends out when we would raid the Hot Pocket stash. My aunt in Texas had a 5-gallon bucket in her freezer of scorpions. They had a lot of them down there on their property and every time she would catch one she'd throw it in the bucket with the rest of them in the freezer. I never could get a straight answer why she didn't just kill them and throw them in the trash. She was probably saving up the venom to poison her boss or your uncle or something. I'd quit asking about it if I were you. This was about 25 years ago, which was the last time I was at their house. As far as I know, my uncle is still alive and no one has mysteriously died. I mean, there's a lot of act up shit on my end, but here's something pretty specific. Having dinners as late as 9 PM and just sitting there not talking the entire time we ate. This has went on since I was around 9 or 10. Shit absolutely yucked me up when I started seeing my boyfriend and his happy family eating at 6 and being really excited and eager to talk about their days. It makes me think I'm just living with roommates rather than parents. Edit. Wow, I did not expect my comments to be so relatable. It makes me feel a bit better knowing I'm not alone with this. Thanks everyone for sharing. And to clarify a couple things. My parents specifically are engineers that work from home and basically have their own schedules 24/7 as long as shit gets done, aka they have pretty relaxing jobs. So there's really no excuse for their behavior and bad time management as nearly 50-year-old adults. I was wildly jealous the first time I ate with a family who talked at the table. Now that I'm all grown up, I try to be that way with the family I made. But I still find myself staring at clocks while I eat sometimes. Turns out that sarcasm is considered really offensive by a lot of people. For my father it was basically the default mode of conversation. And I was 23 years old when someone finally explained to me that, no, this is not how it works for most humans. My dad and I speak really sarcastically, but it's always a joke and we both understand that. A guy I used to date insisted I was constantly being mean, but I didn't think I was being mean at all. He said it clicked once he met my dad and saw the way we spoke to each other. Must be a cultural thing. I don't know of anyone who doesn't have sarcasm as their default setting, or at least top 3 UK. Stealing food from each other's plate at dinner time. Once we had finished our meal, you would pick out the slowest ones, usually mum's. Wasn't until I did it at my now wife's house that I learned no one else did this. Joey doesn't share food. If you don't eat fast, you don't eat. Ross. Rude to eat off someone's plate who is just a slow eater, especially while they're still eating. If they've finished, then go nuts over the leftovers. A family towel. We had a towel rack, and we just hang our towels. It wasn't designated to anyone in particular, and every few days we'd just replace the dirty towel with a clean one. In college, a friend came to visit our home when she very politely asked why we all use the same towel. It just never occurred to me that was weird. That is definitely an interesting one. What if someone just used it before you and it's all soggy? How often would you guys want the towel? Why would I clean the towel? The towel cleans me. What am I gonna do? Wash the shower next? Wash a bar of soap? You gotta think here, pal. I'm the eldest of 7, and we're a super close-knit family, and always have been. Even when I was 1 and my first sister was born. As far as I was concerned, she was my little baby doll and I loved taking care of her. We went through a lot as a family around the time the youngest 2 twins were born because of medical difficulties, so I used to sometimes write little letters of encouragement to my siblings, telling them I loved them and to hang in there. They could reread them anytime they needed it. This slightly predates laptops, phones being ubiquitous. My sister and I went to a sailing camp late high school, and we ended up on different boats. We were expecting a working sail school, but a lot of the other kids were apparently expecting more a cruise. They were mostly really snobby, rich kids from NY, and they were kind of a mess. They didn't want to lift a finger to clean, cook, or actually keep the boat moving in the right direction. Had a few scary experiences as a result. But my sister is pretty sensitive, and apparently she was being outright bullied on her boat. One of the older boys was literally calling her thunder thighs, and she was by no means overweight, though it would be just as bad if she were. Apparently she cried every night when she was alone. I don't know why, but it still really bothers me. His mind immediately went to that place, and everyone kind of avoided me slightly more after that. I was pretty over the trip at that point, so I didn't mind everyone leaving me alone. I think it's wonderful that your family is so close and caring. Some people's lives are just so devoid of love and affection that it can seem weird to see other people being affectionate. I'm sad for those folks. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.